Stay hopeful.
Stay hopeful.
Stay hopeful.
Stay hopeful.
Hey man, say man. It's Brother Charles.
And I'm Jasmine.
This is another episode of HOPEFULL Romantics Podcast where we love life. We love us, the Lord.
Yes, we do.
And we love us. Some love.
Okay, they just said we love us. Like, yes, we do.
Yes, these are facts as well.
Oh,
yo, it's been a minute.
it has.
You feel me? We got a lot has happened since we first recorded last time. A lot of growth mentally, a lot of growth, I guess, socially, of people around us. We just kind of filling this thing out. We don't really know what we about to talk about today. But blessed to be here. So we're going to go ahead and usher y'all in and just get to rapping. Father God, bless us, bless this podcast, bless those under the sound of our voice, and allow us to be a vessel and minister to them in the best way we know how. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen, amen.
All right, so what's been going on with us? Like, what's on the top of your docket, your mental mind? What's up?
First thing I think about is we are 3 months into therapy, which has been good.
Shout out to the premarital counseling.
Yes, I've always been excited about doing premarital counseling. I just thought it would be like a very interesting time where a third party could really dive into like who we are, what our foundation is, and kind of helping us be better. And she's definitely done that. She's allowed us room to talk about anything. We kind of bring the topics to her most of the time. And we'll vent. Charles will go, I'll go. We'll go back and forth. And then she really just drops gems, like things to think about, things we never thought about before, things that we may have talked about but didn't really dive deep enough. So it's been good. It's been good.
And you know she thorough because she be booked and busy. Like,
oh my gosh. It's crazy.
She be like, make your appointment before our appointment start. I'd be like, dang. But I never really knew about premarital counseling really until our homegirl and homie, the Priors, started talking about theirs. And I was like, and they talked about the benefits of it. And my biggest thing was, as we step into marriage, this union, my biggest thing is just doing whatever's necessary to make sure we got good footing. One thing I appreciated from the last session was it was catalytic to us having a very like vulnerable, difficult real difficult conversation.
It was really hard.
Trash in the moment, honestly and truly. Like, no, but
yeah.
And then I saw a tweet a couple of days ago that was like, uncomfortable conversations are necessary for comfortable relationships.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
and
real.
that was something that kind of was affirming to me because in the moment, like I said, I was not having a good time. You feel what I'm saying? But the days afterwards, like the unraveling of that, like the self-dissection of ways in which I can improve, ways in which I can get better, and ways in which like we as a couple can kind of like reconvene based off what we was talking about, really put me in a better space for real. It allowed me to really think of it being an opportunity and a lesson to just kind of buckle down so we're better as a result. And that's not the first or last time we're going to have to do that. But I hope a lot of folk who are thinking long term in their relationships are prepared to make that move. Like, I know for me and Jazzo, we talk about pick a topic, we probably talked about it. You feel what I'm saying?
Thoroughly.
Come on, man. Like several different times.
We'll circle back.
Like telling you and like check in and stuff like that to be like hold on, like are we completely secure in what we was talking about, or do we need to reconvene?
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing for me has always been the fact that we've done that was another indicator of why I knew that this was something that was supposed to be forever, because that's an example of the work. I know we talk about like we've done the work for our relationship, and people be like, but what do that mean?
Yeah.
That means having conversation about different elements, different subjects, different aspects of life that you know thoroughly affect you.
Yeah.
Right? Or you know might thoroughly affect you like down the line. Me and Jazz are both daydreamers. So what we'll do is we'll have a daydream about like a scenario and then just bring up the scenario. And sometimes them jumps be type wild. Like,
yeah.
like what if we was walking in the mall and like someone tried to grab one of our kids? Like stuff like that. It's like, bro, what are you talking about? But just those different scenarios and putting it out there and having a conversation allows you to be more secure going forward.
Yeah. And some of them are more serious. Well, someone snatched up our kid is definitely serious. But what? Some of them are serious in the sense that now that we're getting married and we're looking to build a family, like what happens if I go in and they say that I'm unable to have children or Charles is unable to have children? So some of them are like really far-fetched and like crazy wild. Like now I gotta go like hunt down somebody for my kid. And other ones are very vulnerable. Like other ones really do have you pause. Because when you're dating, there isn't the same weight on those questions, you know, because anything could happen when you're dating. I mean, anything can happen when you're married, but anything can happen when you're dating and you'll just split ways. Like, well, that was it, you know, chalk it up and go to the next. But when you're closer and closer to marriage, those questions become very real. And it's like, okay, like I'm saying you're my forever person. So if something that I've always envisioned a part of my future kids, for example, if we think about, okay, now I have to reimagine what that looks like with you specifically, because of you specifically, it can be hard. Yeah. It can be hard. And I remember that was, I don't know if that conversation was necessarily that hard for us because we're both very open to adoption and other avenues to having children. But that's an example of one that can really rock a lot of couples. Yeah.
Like it's funny that that's a conversation I was comfortable with because just going back one generation, my peoples weren't. Like, that was a conversation my dad was like, nah, I'm cool, right? For a myriad of reasons that we'll get into.
Adoption?
But, my dad basically got rest assured. He said adoption is like putting your hand in the bag and just hope you pick out something good. And some people probably offended by that. But like, that's how some people feel, right? And
it's definitely been a wave of people becoming more comfortable with adoption.
Absolutely, especially as people like wait longer and like different elements of.
It's a different generation for sure.
Exactly.
Different mindsets.
Right. So for us, it's like if we're in that position and everything fits, everything makes sense. Like, let's rock out with it. But I want to go back to you talking about things kind of just feeling more real. Mm-hmm. You feel what I'm saying? And I think one element has been, for me, fiscally, right? I always think about if we weren't in this position, right? Or if like I was on my dolo or whatever, my money management right now, trash. It would be deplorable. Like, I was just talking to one of my homies, I was talking to one of my homies last night, and I was saying like, bruh, if it was just me right now, my checks would be ate up for completely different reasons, right? Yeah. But number one, like trying to stack to get this ring was a whole thing. Shut the ring, babe. Shut the ring. Yep. See that? Money at work.
Oh my god.
But that really was the inception of like some of the most intense and intentional money management that I've ever had in my life. And now that we're trying to stack it, you know, we're thinking cribs, we're thinking family planning, we're thinking like just investments, period. That's kind of been at the forefront. Not just like money management, but more so what habits am I establishing and how am I really going to set myself up to be the type of man who is just completely intentional in everything that he does. And I go back to how my dad used to move. Like, my dad would be up at like 4 or something, sometimes off his own fruition, sometimes because he couldn't sleep. But I just always remember him being productive. And like, even the rest that he would take, you could just tell it was kind of like a recharge more than just like a relaxation, which there's some blurred lines in there. I believe in truly relaxing or trying to release. But I know for me, like that's the type of man that I want to be. It's just someone who is always in the position where I'm adding to the space, right? Or I'm setting an example in anything that I'm doing, whether it be something like real minuscule, like changing a light bulb in the kitchen that no one asked to change. I just saw that it was out. Or like my pop used to wake up at like 7 o'clock on Saturdays and then just come back with like toilet paper and paper towels and like stuff for the crib that obviously was going to be needed in the coming week. Right. And I feel like as we get closer to the aisle, I'm just kind of like reshifting my mindset to be the type of individual who's going to just implement every element of just benefit into the space. Because I want my presence to be felt positively and my absence to be felt negatively, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if I felt the same process of no, not saying like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't think that, well, as you were talking, I was like, wow, I don't think that's the same things that I've been thinking about since we've been engaged.
What you been thinking about?
I think more so, which is why therapy has been such a big benefit already to me, is I guess in the same vein of building productive and positive habits, I want that, but in terms of just talking, you know? Because, like, again, like, we do a lot of talking, but sometimes you can get so used to the way in which you talk that you don't push it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So we can talk about anything, you know, but are we always talking about
the meat,
what we need to be talking about in the type of depth that we need to be talking about it, you know? So specifically the last therapy session we had was a conversation we had, you know, like we had talked about it, we had circled back to it. Like, it was just one of those things that we had been going through, you know, but the way in which our therapist talked to us, she gave us one practical ways for us to dive deeper without it being abrasive or like turning into an argument or feeling like we already did this, you know, like that was a big thing. Like, okay, we've talked about this before, but like, where do we go from here? Yeah. But she gave us, and I guess we can share the practice. So what she wanted us to do is she wanted us to make a list of basically do's and don'ts, things I like, things I don't like. And we both made the list, and we took about a week to do the list, maybe a week and a half. And at first I was not trying to do it. I was like, I'll do it when I get around to it. But one day I was like, no, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to make this list. And I made sure there were certain things that I made sure to keep in mind as I made the list. Specifically, like, our relationship from the, like, overall is great. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any like glaring red flags or things I'm like, or like Charles is like, like when I think about our relationship, it's positive, an overall positive experience in my life. Right. So I wanted to make sure as we were doing this exercise, or while I was doing this exercise, that was reflected in my list, you know, that I had more things that I loved about us than things that I wanted to change about us, because I didn't want it to come off like,
you need to do this.
Yeah. And like, how productive is that conversation? So in building healthy habits, for me, doing things like that is necessary every so often, you know, like as we evolve and change and like different things and explore different things, there will be things that drop off that list and there will be things that add on to the list. Or if we do it every 6 months and I realize that this thing is still on my, like, please step up and do this list, and it hasn't changed in 3 years, it's like, okay, Charles, like, we're doing this, we're putting in the effort, but we're not getting anywhere. So like, how do we change
that? It's like a check mark.
So I liked that in the sense that building healthy habits sometimes takes that third party. You know, sometimes we can't do it all on our own. And I love the quote when people are like, you can have God and a therapist. Because really, like, that can be a part of that spiritual segment that is the third chord in your marriage or your relationship, right? So that's been a big thing for me. Also, in the vein of healthy habits, us eating better and exercising more has been so, like, aggressive during our engagement. I feel like we've like cut the corner of like not eating meat anymore, no processed sugars. But again, with the gravity of being engaged, it's like we want to be here a long time. You know, we want our bodies to hold up for as long as we need them to. And we want, when we're ready to have children, for it to be a positive experience because we've taken care of our bodies. You know, we want to pass on healthy things to our children and our household and things like that. So that's definitely been a very real part of our engagement and just getting ourselves ready for the life we want to live.
Yeah, it's so wild to... I'm a big fan of when dreams, aspirations become reality, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times the things, I've said this before, things that a lot of people dream about. So like a lot of people's dream is to graduate and go to college. No shade to nobody, but like I knew that was gonna happen. Like unless the Lord called me home or something like that, like there was just no reason for me to not graduate high school, right? And
right.
Based off my grades, I was going to go to somebody's college. And then got to college, I was like, this is pretty sweet. I'm going to probably graduate this too. So that happened. But marriage, that's not no guarantee. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
and it's one of those things that, like, high school comes after middle school. You know, college comes after high school for a lot of people. Marriage is not one of those things. It could come after college. It could come after in your mid-20s, your mid-30s, your mid-60s. Like, there's no timetable to when or if you're going to get married.
Yeah, come after 2 babies. But that's not our context. But my biggest thing is just, I like the fact that the inception of our relationship, where there was so much intentionality, really did plant some wonderful seeds that have come into fruition. You feel what I'm saying? I think in this season, that's why I made a post a couple of days ago about folk around us trying to sow seeds of discord when we first got engaged. And I think that's why folk kind of like, the comments was kind of like, well, like, I support you guys. Like, and it wasn't, that post wasn't supposed to, like...
Oh, yeah.
People were like, wait. Like, oh, guys.
Not me, right? Like, no.
It's not...
Like,
we're
did
cool.
I? Like, I'm really sorry if it came off.
Shout out to everybody who tried to do that. I appreciate y'all. But, like, that wasn't the intention of the jump. It really was a forewarning to folk who are in relationship, who see a future with their significant other, who have to recognize that folk are inevitably, especially the people that are closest to us, are going to inevitably project their insecurities, their failures, their doubts onto you. That's just what we as human beings do sometimes. And it's something that I'll internalize as I become a parent and stuff like that, and just an elder in any capacity, because I don't want to do that to those under me, right? Because if someone values my opinion and values my thoughts, values my input, whatever, what I say, whether they listen to it or not, still sows a seed, right? Like, I love my mother. I love those around me who are of her generation. I haven't listened to 100% of what my mother has said to me in my life. Like, I'm my own man, right? But because I respect her and love her, anything she says, I'm gonna internalize it, right? Mm-hmm. And we all have people in our life who are like that. So I guess, like, a forewarning to those who are getting more serious in their relationships and stuff like that is, you're going to inevitably internalize it, right? Yeah. But if God is at the forefront of your relationship, if you are communicative and understanding with your partner, if you are understanding, if you are comprehensive in what you and your partner are saying to one another, there's no reason why those seeds of discord have to truly create discord. And I think me and Jazzo have done a great job of, like, we'll eat it. You feel what I'm saying? We'll take the hit sometimes, but one thing we don't do is allow what other people have said, thought, whatever, over the course of our entire relationship, for real, to infiltrate how we feel about one another. Because if that was the case, we wouldn't be here, right? But it also was because we had that foundation from jump. I told Jazzo's mom, first time I ever met her, over the phone, you know, I'm going to marry your daughter. She was like, nigga, please. She, for lack of a better word, she was like, all right, bro, whatever. Get off of my daughter's phone.
She hung up in the next minute.
Yeah, she was like, all right, well, we'll let you go. Don't want to hold you up. But, like, that's about to be my mother-in-law in a few months. You feel what I'm saying? So there's so much intentionality and beauty behind recognizing, okay, God, you're ordering my steps. You're ordering this person's steps. And by your grace, you have allowed us to have steps ordered together. Yeah. Right. And that's where me and Jazzo are at. And I think there's so much beauty in that. And we can't allow, and that's not even just in relationships, just in the plan that God has for our life. We can't allow folks' doubts and insecurities to taint what God has already painted. Like, sit in the fact that God made you mad dope. He has so many dope plans for you. And whatever someone feels about them plans does not matter, because you're going to be straight regardless.
That's real.
Well, thank you. Thank you for agreeing with me.
No.
Do you think, like, because it's not coming down to the wire, but like, we about to blink and be whole married couple.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that we've done enough to really have like a great trajectory, or do you think that there's a lot more work to be done?
Both.
Dang.
Because, like, who is prepared for marriage? We've never lived together. We've really, honestly...
We should have been shacking up 2 years ago.
No, we've never lived together. We've never consistently seen each other day in and day out because we've never lived together. There's just so many things we've never done before. So, like, how do you prepare for something like that? You can't. So, as confident as I am in the work that we have done and the conversations we have had, the advice we've taken, the advice that we've kind of not taken. Mm-hmm.
It was the hand motion.
The internal work that we've done is great. Mm-hmm. And I think it was all purposeful. And in its time, it did what it needed to do. And it will continue to be the foundation in which we build upon. But we just don't know.
All right. What do you say to somebody who's trying to rock out with their significant other, but feels like they're not really on the most firm foundation?
Don't.
Oh.
Wait, what does rock out mean? You mean get married?
I was just saying, like, continue the relationship. Like, maybe, like, try to get more in tune with one another. You just said, call it.
What do you mean? What do you mean they're not in tune?
What do I always say? Like, we have a solid foundation. We prayed, we meditated, we sat in the Word, we talked to God a lot about what we were trying to do in our relationship from jump. Okay. Right? Communicative from jump. Affirmations from jump. All that. Right. We're not everybody. True. Everybody doesn't have the same relationship with God. Everyone doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Everyone is healing from different traumas differently. 100%. So where communication might be a little, shaky, whatever. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily on shaky ground, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they put the same amount of work into their foundation for it to be like rock solid. Okay. Right. So let's say someone started off a little shaky. Okay. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and they're trying to determine whether or not that foundation can be sealed or that foundation like is almost non-existent still. Okay. You said call it.
Sorry, I didn't know what you were, I didn't know where we were talking about. But set aside time to talk through what truly bothers you the most. First, you have to have the answer to that question before you try to sit down with someone and talk about like, oh, this just isn't working. And if you want to continue in it, you saying, oh, this isn't working is not productive. Like, where do we go from there? If you can't articulate like how you need us to be better or what needs to be done on their end or your end or whatever the case may be, like that's not going to be the most productive conversation in my eyes. But one thing that I do when something does bother me, and I know it's going to have to be a very vulnerable conversation with Charles, like I will tell him beforehand, like, hey, can we sit down and talk on whatever day, and I kind of like we did last time.
That's what you said?
Yeah, I said.
You prefaced it like that?
Yeah, I said, hey, we should.
Oh yeah, you actually said exactly what we was about to talk about.
Yeah, because that gives your partner forewarning, that lets them, because it's also not fair to like come to someone with something so heavy without giving them proper preparation, like even mentally, like that's just.
I hate it when you do this. Yeah. Sit down.
Yeah, it's just like now I'm on the defense, rather than being in a place where I'm trying to understand what you're saying. But kind of carve out that time. Know what you want to say. Know. Maybe you don't know exactly how to change it, but like say like, I don't know how to change it, but I want us to work. Like I want us to be better. I want this, and this. But also I would say in that conversation, think about what you could be doing better as well. Yeah. I think it is super easy to be like, you're not doing this. I need you to do this. Stop doing that. This isn't working. And your list will be long. But the most positive experiences in terms of my past relationships and this relationship are the ones where I was able to say, I may not be the perfect partner either. Like, I may not be everything you need me to be every second that you need it. And I could be doing better as well. And when you come with that spirit, the conversation typically goes over well, generally. Because people are able to receive that better.
No, honestly and truly. Because there's going to be times when there's an issue in a relationship where one party is more responsible for there being an issue, right? But a lot of times... No, every time.
Yeah, I
in a
relationship, like,
in a relationship, both parties are flawed parties.
Yeah.
So there's going to be double-sided responsibility and accountability that is necessary for like the relationship to continue.
Yeah,
and I think
would say
every single time, 100%.
Because if you talk about disrespect, if you talk about cheating, if you talk about a lot of these like glaring issues.
So it's like, what? No, he was wrong.
But let's talk about disrespect, okay? If you're in a relationship where there's a level of disrespect that that like exists within your relationship,
for me,
I don't
like disrespect. I don't like
at
disrespect.
Some level, you're complacent. Because like, how did you continue to build this relationship with someone who disrespects you?
Yeah.
Like at some point, you either don't
accept it.
You either accept it. Or you're fighting to kind of have the courage to say like, I'm not okay with that. But with that, until you build up that courage, that's a normal thing within your relationship, you know, and that's a flaw on both sides. They shouldn't be disrespectful, but you shouldn't be letting someone disrespect you.
Talk about seeds of discord, Mo. Like, you got about one time with me. And that might have been half the time. That might have been because you didn't know. And I'm talking about strangers. We ain't talking about people who know me. Like, if someone I'm like, what are you doing? You feel what I'm saying? And I'm not going to give you...
a little bit more grace, but...
Oh, exactly. That's why I love you. But I'm not going to give you ample opportunities to show me disrespect, because I have a long life to live and a lot of people to interact with, and you don't have to be one of them. That's how I see it, right? What you said? Disrespect, cheating... all these other elements. I think what we're also talking about, kind of underlying, is ways to communicate that doesn't end up in arguments too.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about that, and I said this earlier. Some people like to argue.
Oof,
if you're a part of the argument ministry,
that's your love language.
Go forth and prosper. Some people really get their
you.
rocks off by having shouting matches, and then coming together, reconciling. Like what's his name, Michael and Marcus and
Angela
and Angela from White Argument. That should claim the fame. God bless you. Me, on the other hand, I probably yelled thrice in 3 years. Like,
I got one good argument in me, and probably every 6 months.
And like, there's no way. Me and Jazzo have never raised our voice at one another. Really, have never intentionally disrespected one another. Like, that's just not something that we felt would in any way benefit us. Yeah. And it's also just not how we built, for real. But for folk who where arguing is kind of just a part of your relationship, y'all should definitely make sure this, and like recently more so, writing things down. Oh yeah. People think that's corny or whatever, but like sometimes writing your thoughts out helps organize it, right? So if you know that you're an arguer, write down the elements of an argument that you appreciate, for lack of a better word, and the parts of an argument that you just know are like, as soon as this enters into the space, it's no holds bar. And like, I'm talking about your mama, and you talking about that thing I told you to never talk about. And now you're not even talking about the lecture at hand, right? You just trying to see who can hurt more, faster or harder, which is just, you gotta watch that. That's another seed of discord, is the things that you say to one another, because people do not forget what it said. Yes. Remember in elementary school, they used to be like, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a lie. How many times? My question is, how many times you got hit by a stick or a stone? But how many times somebody say something to you, you was like,
no, that's
I don't care.
There are things that people have said to us that we've carried for years. You may not even talk to that person anymore, but you carry what they said to you.
What? You don't even remember what they look like all the way.
There are things that our parents said to us that we have not let go of.
Mom. It's like,
and then if you add, honestly, what's crazy is we hold on to these things, and most people don't even realize that they don't remember that they said
rolled
it.
off the tongue.
I never said that. Okay, but that's real. That's very real. That we do hold on to the things that, especially the people who are closer to us, our friends, our family, our partners, definitely hold on to the things that they say. So that's why, for me, arguing has never been my vice, because I know if you say something to me, it's not even like I'm gonna be able to get over. Like, we're probably gonna break up, because like, where do we go from here?
Nah,
like, you've just come for my character. You know what I mean? Like, you've just come for like
favorite.
Right? Like, you, especially, and that's why you really do have to get to know your partner, and like how they communicate, right? Because if you're arguing with someone who doesn't argue, and you get to the point where you're just saying things off the wall, like, there are certain things that if you pass that boundary for people, that's it for them. So it may not be your boundary. Like, you can argue all day and night, but if you're arguing with me and you say something, there's nothing more that needs to be said. I don't need to say anything else. Like, this is over. We're through.
It's been straight.
I hope you said everything you needed to say, because you'll never talk to me again. You know what I mean? Like, you really have to get to know. Most people are paired with arguers, because
what's the argument if it's not two
right?
people,
Like, you're not going to enjoy that either. But being paired, when you're not paired with someone that communicates the same way that you do, that's when problems arise. Even if it's not an arguer, if it's someone, if you both hate confrontation.
Ooh, passive aggression.
Or one is more comfortable with confronting and the other one isn't.
And it's always the one person confronting somebody. That's a terrible dynamic too. I think the lesson is understanding your dynamic, right? And the more you understand it, the better you'll be able to maneuver it, and the better you'll be because of it, right? Yeah. I think that throughout our relationship, there's definitely been issues that have been presented from both parties. Right. Like, as an example, I really don't appreciate when someone just assumes that I'm not just as thirsty as her, and then she switches her glass as if she couldn't have just taken a sip from mine and left it where it was. Mm-hmm. Like, if I wasn't the type to be honest and candid, you feel me, there would be an issue, right? But nah, like, in all seriousness though, like, I think that there's so many people out there who want better for their relationships, right? Who want to improve upon them, who see futures with their significant other, but there's a lot of different holes that need to be filled. And one of them has to be through, I'll call it comprehensive communication. Yeah. Shout out my man Buck. We had a great conversation regarding that a few days ago. Comprehensive communication, because I would say communication is key, but he said if someone's not comprehending what you're saying, then you're communicating basically with a brick wall, right? And I think that comprehensive communication is key. Also think, like you said, neutral parties are key as well. Sometimes you can't talk to your mama about it, or your homegirl.
I'd advise not.
Or your man's, whatever. Because, number one, if you relay in certain sensitive information that might be sensitive that week, but then next week it's not even really that important, they'll harp on that jump and then bring it up at the most unnecessary time. Or if you're dealing with some real whack people, they might try to weaponize it. And that's a huge seed of discord that really just leaves a lasting impression on your relationship that doesn't have to necessarily be there. So I would say find yourself a neutral party, therapist, counselor, whatever, that is able to help you all sort out all of these different thoughts, all these different issues that might arise, and then you all can go forth and prosper. But lastly, I would say with those two combined, sit in that and do some self-exploration. Because what you bring to an argument, what you bring to a discussion, what you bring to the table, period, in a relationship, is a direct reflection of every experience that you've ever had, every word that's ever been uttered to you, and how you view and understand yourself. And a lot of us, especially, I'm not even going to put an age on it, because folk be trying to discover themselves to the day they die. A lot of us have a lot of questions for ourselves that we still don't have answers for. Yeah. And with that comes insecurities, doubts, just a whole bunch of different things that we inevitably project onto our partner.
Yeah.
And sometimes we put our partner in a position where they're trying to figure out things that we don't even understand for ourselves. So with, comprehensive, with comprehensive communication, with that neutral party, like, do that self-work, do that self-understanding, do that self-exploration, not just for your relationship, but for yourself too. Like, yeah. I can't really thank God enough for giving me the opportunity in the space. There was specific times when I felt like I was getting to know myself better. And that gave me a level of confidence that put me in the position to where I was, I'll just say, like, man enough, not in the masculine sense, but more so in just like the security sense, to be with Jazzo in a way where things could have progressed. Right. Because you could have met a shell of who I was, and you could have been like, you're cool, but I'm cool off you. You feel what I'm saying? And that's just the situation.
I like those 3 points.
Yeah, write it down for me. Get your journal. Write it down. But, yeah, man. Oh, we forgot to shout out the sponsor.
The sponsor. Oh, my gosh.
Well, we sponsored him, too.
This
but
man.
It's Roots Apparel. You feel me? Remembering our origin through strength. Come on, yo. We remember our origins through collaboration, too. Oh, my gosh. But yeah, shout out my mans, my LB. He doing some great work.
Yeah, we are, the first week of Black History Month. The first week is over. But we are shouting out a lot of Black businesses that we are not necessarily connected to, but that we either frequently buy from or whatever the case may be. Love the city. I was actually very excited when Charles said that we were going to purchase some. But we have some commercials coming out on our Instagram, really on all of our social media, just shouting out some Black-owned businesses that we support. And there will be a link in our link tree that has all the information for the commercials that we have on our page. So definitely check that out. Support Black businesses, support Black creatives. Support Black people, honestly. There are amazing. There are a lot of us doing amazing things, and sometimes we kind of get lost in the shuffle of everybody else's businesses and everybody else's whatever. And we definitely want to highlight people who are doing amazing things in our own community.
And we got some stuff on the way ourselves. You feel me? It's a couple hints on the screen. We're not gonna drop it.
Not hints yet on the screen.
You feel me? But you gotta pay close attention. But all right, speed round before we call it.
You want to do a speed round?
Speed round, just a couple quick questions for folk. It's Valentine's Day this week. You feel me? We dropping a jump before round. We'll just figure that out. What's one quick quarantine thing that you can do for Valentine's Day? For folk who, it was a lot of dead air in that jump. It was like something quick that someone can do for their Valentine. That's not gonna get them cold. Go ahead.
What is that thing called when you cook? Dinner.
Yup. It's a meal. You make it in the kitchen.
Oh my gosh! No, I actually meant like cooking dinner, like cooking dinner together, or like cooking for them, kind of having your own little restaurant inside the house. Inside the house.
Put on a nice little playlist. Your favorite songs, the go-tos, a couple 90s R&Bs, throwbacks, some new age jumps to rock to. That new Jasmine Sullivan album, definitely a suggestion.
For date night?
Hotels is still gonna crack regardless of who you with. For me, do something that is engaging, but also intimate. So for me, I love painting with Jazz. We ain't done that in a minute, but that's actually one of my favorite things to do. And I was actually thinking about getting us a puzzle to do, right? And you can actually, there's like websites where you can
customize a puzzle. Yeah, that's
right?
Pretty dope.
And if you and your significant other aren't visually, what's it called? What's like the best way to say like they don't look the best?
What?
If you and your beautiful significant other want to partake in like a customized puzzle, you go ahead and do that. Post your picture, and you do that, John. You can you can glue it so that way like you can frame it afterwards, and everything's gonna be copacetic. So puzzles, painting sips, dinner, like my lovely fiance said, y'all gonna be good to go. Just don't try to break the bank. Don't do that. Don't try to break quarantine.
Definitely don't do that. Come on, y'all. We gotta stay inside.
The mask go over your mouth and your nose.
It's not even about the mask though. Stay inside. It's not even about the mask. Stay inside.
But also, it's not a chin strap.
Stay inside.
Stay in the crib.
As much as you possibly can.
Please. I want to go outside. All right. Anything else we love?
No, I'm good.
All right. We love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Most
Stay
of all,
hopeful.
stay hopeful.